What's going on there, YouTube? This is SCL0320. I am back for a brand new spoiler review of the great show that is Flash. This show is always surprising me on different levels because I've seen like so many different villains come through the pipeline of the Rose Galleries, but to its core, it's always been about the relationships and the people that dissect within it. And Grant Gustin does a great job as Barry Allen, but this episode, more so along lines, allowed Iris to be exemplified on a deeper level because of what was going on, and I loved every second of it, to be quite honest with you. But more than anything, they treated Grodd on a CG level and on a scary level so well, because if anybody hadn't seen the previews and they just kind of like went into looking into the show, they would have totally been caught off guard. I loved it. The name of the episode is Grodd Lives. The synopsis reads, Barry must deal with Reverse Flash's latest threat to a member of the group. To make matters worse, Dr. Wells unleashes Grodd to the city to distract Barry and the team. That's an understatement. What Eobard is doing with Eddie is very strategic. I didn't know until the very end of the episode. I was like, why does he still have Eddie? And I still don't really know. Parts of me are like, he has to keep Eddie alive, because if he's not kept alive, then Eobard technically won't exist. But like, he literally dissected Eddie. He's like clawing at Eddie's subconscious, because he basically kind of showed him, he's like, look, you're the weakest part of this whole ancestry that I'm in. Like, you're the only one that is no significance to the world at all. Nobody will even remember your name, essentially. And then he embellished to him that Barry is the one that's going to marry Iris, not him. And then, like, he basically was like, towards the end, he was like, I've got everything I need. I have the key. And I was like, what is he talking about? And I still don't really know, but at the end of the episode, it showed him turn on the lights where we'll look to the very end of the particle accelerator. And I was like, I was wondering where that whole line actually went down to. And it's crazy because I feel like he's about to let out all the rogues, quite honestly. That's what I kind of feel like his end game is. But based on the trailer and looking at all the heroes like Robbie, Stephen Amell's Arrow, Grant Gustin, I'm pretty sure that probably the Atom's going to show up as well. They're all going to be going head to head with the Reverse Flash, the man in the yellow suit. I think that that's going to be nuts. But in this episode, in the beginning of it, I thought it was really treated really well. The relationship dynamics between Iris, Joe, and Barry. Only because it starts off really that Iris was the one that was kind of narrating is, what do you do if your friend you care about, you love, kind of has a secret, you know, it's bigger than you are, you know? Like, how do you kind of treat it? And I told y'all, I was like, she is going to Barry, and she really does. She lets him have it on different levels. Like, when she was there, she kind of told him, she was like, well, where's Eddie? Like, is a Flash on it? She knew who he was, and she just really was kind of waiting for Barry to kind of open up and catch him in a lie, essentially. She's really projecting. She's mad at herself for different reasons. One of the dialogues that she has in it, she had implied basically that she was mad at her dad, she's mad at Barry, and she was mad at her dad more than anything, not so much that he kept Barry's secret of being a Flash, but that he kept Barry's secret that he was in love with her. And I was like, what does that matter? Like, why are you getting so angry about that? And it was almost like she blames herself also for getting involved with Eddie, because she kind of implied like, well, it's my fault for even getting in a relationship with him at this point. And I was like, why would you even say that? It's kind of like she's implying that if she had known about Barry, or she had known about Barry being Flash, or whatever, that she would have picked Barry as opposed to Eddie. And I was like, dang, this is about to get serious. But then she had a conversation with Barry later on, and she was like, because Barry, it was a really interesting scene, because they were on the rooftop where they had first met, or she had first met the Flash, and she was like, millions of times I've been up here and I've known you, and you didn't open up to me, you know. And he was like, even though I didn't, every single cycle of what I did, like, it literally encompassed you. It was surrounded by you. You even gave me the name Flash. This is all because of you. And she's like, I understand that. And he had asked her at some point when they were bickering, because in the beginning they were really fighting. Like, she was kind of like intruding on, like, when they were trying to go and find stuff, because she went and busted them at the lab. And like Caitlin and Cisco were like, what in the world is about to go down? They were kind of listening in. And she just kind of was projecting, like I said. Like, she seeming like she was mad at him, mad at her dad. And like, he kind of really explained the fact that Harrison Wells was the one that killed his mom, all the different things and plot points that had happened. But then she got even more upset when she found out that her dad knew, that Eddie knew. And it was just really interesting, because when he was trying to go and focus on trying to beat somebody, when his first encounter with Grodd initially, like, he literally was kind of like at a standstill, and I knew it was because he wasn't focused. I knew that her being there was a serious distraction for him, and that kind of happened in the beginning with Joe. In the first 2 episodes, Joe being there, not understanding and realization that Barry needs him there to focus, it kind of kept him away from doing what he needed to do. But once Iris was on board, and they finally had the contact of, like, this battle that was going on between Barry and Grodd, she kind of was the one, even though she was dealing with his mind being altered and stuff like that, to focus on the love that he had for her. And it was so crazy, it wasn't so much that he focused on it, it was the fact that she knew that he would listen. I think that was the even more projecting part, and I thought it was romantic. And like I said, that falls all the way line back to, like, he was like, you're the reason why I was able to break that, and you're the reason why I'm here. And so he was basically like, what then, after I, like, get Eddie, what are we gonna do? And she's like, we'll just basically have to see. But she said she couldn't do anything until, like, she got Eddie, because she's guilty, I guess. But I feel bad for Eddie now. I know Joe had said last week that he was feeling bad for Eddie, but I actually feel bad for him too now, because I mean, everything that he hopes to have is about to get robbed. Now, if Barry has to end up going back to the past and changing the past, all of this mess that we're seeing is going to be completely void. That might change the scope of everything. So I don't know what's going to end up being Endgame, but how can I not, like, talk about how they treated Grodd? Like, the general that initially was the one that was trying to, like, use, I guess, the testing of telekinesis and augmenting that with humans. They were using Grodd, and basically Grodd treats Harrison Wells as his father. And, like, the guys, they were trying to go and catch Grodd and stuff like that. And when you finally really see him, and the level of detail they did with the CG in this one, it was done really well. It was very believable. I was like, wow, I can't believe this is a TV show. You know what I'm saying? Like, they actually did a really good job. And then not just that, when, like, you see Grodd, like, kidnap Joe, and, like, he had kind of Joe cornered. At the point that Joe was kind of pointing his finger like this, and, like, he had the gun and stuff like that, I was like, man, this dude's about to kill him. Like, this is some scary stuff. It's not the fact so much that this dude is huge. He could, like, crush him easily. But the fact that he can get in somebody's mind and just toy with them. And I liked how the dialogue was going through, because the general, he initially was the one that was the shooter that Barry went and tried to stop. And then they both got hit with this kind of telekinesis break. And, or not telekinesis, but, what is it called? I forget what it's called. Where basically your mind's getting controlled. But when it happens, like, and Barry finally takes the mask off of him, he finds out that it's the general. And the general's been, I guess, captive for about months, for at least 3 or 4 months. And I thought that was cool, because it made reference to Diggle's wife. But it was like, I really liked how they literally used Grodd in this episode, because I was like, they really couldn't stop him, quite honestly, physically or, like, on a genius level. And I mean, he's continuously, what they're explaining, that he's getting smarter and smarter and smarter. I don't know what the end game is, but I saw that even though Barry was able to, like, well, actually it was funny, because Barry tried to use the supersonic, he tried to go and hit him, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't do a thing to him. And the only reason why he got away is because of Iris, and then he moved out of the way and the guy got hit by a train. But you saw that Grodd was sitting there climbing on the buildings, and he looked like he was leaping and lunging at the group. Or actually, he was lunging at Iris and Barry. I don't know if that's what's going to happen in the next episode. It didn't show that in the actual trailer, so I'm inclined to believe it's not. It's just implied that he's still alive. But it was a really good episode. I'm trying to think of anything else. I explained what I thought about Eddie. Joe, oh, there is one scene that actually got me. And it was the scene where Iris finally meets up with her dad and she was talking to him, and like basically Joe was kind of like, I was convinced without a shadow of a doubt that I was gonna die, and all I could think about was my family, like you and Barry, but more than anything, like the fact that my love at times, it blinds me sometimes from realizing like what you can and what you're capable of doing. And it was funny because she said, Dad, I know that everything you do out of love, so anything you tell me, you can tell me with full confidence that I'm going to take it to heart, and I'm not going to just outreach it just because of my own ambition, you know, kind of speaking. So they finally got a common ground, but it was such a beautiful scene because Iris was crying, and Joe literally, this whole episode, like, he was terrified. Like, he was convinced. I could tell through the performance that he thought that he was going to die. And the fact that the man who's playing Joe, like, was acting with something that's not really there, it's all green screen, that's some good acting. Like, I was like, man, what is wrong with Joe? Like, he looks seriously scared, you know? But they did a good job with this episode. I think Joe ended up with, like, 3 cracked ribs, a concussion, some things, but he's okay. What's gonna happen long term? I don't know, because like now Barry and Iris, their relationship has been furthered a little bit more. Eddie, I don't know what's gonna happen with Eddie and what Eobard Thawne's gonna do with him. I know he has to keep him alive, but I don't know what his end game is. Like, why kidnap him? Why don't just leave him with the team? You know what I'm saying? And then like you have this preview where you've got Firestorm, Arrow, and Barry. Like, how is this all gonna pan out? I just don't know. But I give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. This is a build up because we got 2 more episodes left. The final 2 episodes coming. So I think it's fair game for anything to go down. I'm gonna definitely let Joe take a look at this, and he might come back and add his perspective on it. But hopefully y'all go and check out the episode. It's on CWTV.com. Should be on Hulu tomorrow. But yeah, it was freaking awesome. And I love the way they did the CG for General Grodd. Like, it was just freaking awesome. Anyway, this is SCL0320 signing out. I'm going to do a non-spoiler review real quick. Anybody that hasn't checked it out, definitely go and point them to that. Y'all have a blessed evening, blessed night. SCL020 signing out. Later.